seeing like the real change. That's what I noticed. I mean, even doing my research, is like I think the party really switched for good in 2019 when a lot of these Democrats, socialists snuck in.
Well, I mean, I would just say that COVID gave everyone with bad ideas permission to exercise those bad ideas. So the Democrats were bad before COVID. And I actually got out of Illinois for a year during COVID. From like 2020 to 2021, I lived in Texas with my grandma, my uncle. And she passed away, rest in peace, Grandma Debbie. And so that was like, but I got to see both. I got to live in Illinois, spend time in Texas, also spend time in Southern Illinois, Madison County. And it's kind of cool to see the night and day differences. Like, cause I'm not vaccinated, not trying to wear a mask, right. never had a fake card. And so in Illinois, I really felt like I was in a zombie movie, like Walking Dead. And like everyone had it out to me, get him, like call the police. He doesn't have his car. And it's cold in Chicago. So I thought that was very cruel. And I'll never forget how certain businesses, certain people treated people, especially now what we know now about the vaccine, especially about the vaccine card. That was crazy. People were being like violent. And like that was the time where they were the same Democrats that were saying we needed an ID to vote, that a voter ID was like racist, were saying that like 7-year-olds need to show an ID to eat a cheeseburger. It was absolutely insane. But in Texas, I was in Dallas, night and day different. And I got to spend a bunch of time with the Dallas Republican Party. And that was also night and day different. Like I go to Chicago Republican event. I literally feel like it's a kid to catch a predator house sting. Those kind of events. It's like you feel like you're the inside of a cigar. I'm like in an adult video store. And then you also kind of have women that feel like they're catering to those kind of men, like just like the most disgusting men and women, like inside and out. And then just kind of also very dark and desperate in terms of like what do we have to look forward to election wise? But in Dallas, which is a Democrat city, like technically 300 people, 400 people, more normal. If someone is kind of a red flag person, they kick them out. So that was also kind of that was very inspiring to see that the Republican Party and Chicago Republican Party have some unique problems that you don't even see in New York, LA, Texas, Democrat states.
You remember when Pritzker went to Florida?
Yeah, and Wisconsin. I feel like he barely was in Chicago during COVID. And also, I was bigger during COVID. During the beginning of COVID, I was making fried rice. That was very dangerous. I would get just so much ground beef, so much onions, peanut sauce, soy sauce, sweet and sour. Just mix so many sauces, eggs, and just make pounds at a time. And so I got really big. And then when I'm a science data person. I looked at the data, and they were saying that people with pre-existing conditions and who were obese were dying. So I actually made my health a bigger focus. And so at that same time, like Pritzker was at his peak fat. So that was also annoying to have him be the health czar, like giving me health advice. and on his hammock in Florida, it's probably triple reinforced.
So, Mugshot Mondays.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you for the idea. This was funny. A good idea. The mugshot that they love to throw around, like they like to throw my mugshot around. What happened, man? What happened, Max?
I'm sorry, so I can't hear you.
I said, what happened? What happened?
I plead the fifth. It's my favorite amendment. No, I'm kidding. I actually spoke at the Arlington Heights. It was during the craziest part. I was running for Congress when I got arrested. So it really shows you what a joke the media is and the Republican Party. Because they're talking about it now, but no one talked about it when I was running for office in 2022. I had a political event. Then I was doing stand-up comedy while I was running, and my comedy was very political, so it was a 2-for-1. And then and then I went out, which was a big mistake. And I went out, shout out. I shouldn't even say it because I went out with a somewhat famous actor and a somewhat famous director. I'm not going to mention their names because they'll probably get in trouble because they still have careers. But we all went out downtown. There was a fellow comedian that it seems like was sending some romantic signals my way, and the owner of the venue was her date. And so there's some conspiracy there potentially that because I basically got arrested by the bouncer at a club for an altercation. And a lot of it was due to my intoxication level, and I'm saying I'm not proud of it. Please, they call it spirits for a reason. But yeah, like even the police said you should have run. Like so that's another lesson to you kids is don't drink, don't beat up bouncers, but if you do, run. And then 64-year-old Chippendales waiters won't make fun of you on Facebook every day. Have you seen that, Zoe? I feel like it's like 3 posts a day from a 64, 65-year-old man.
So then I know a lot of people were upset that
It's like putting, yeah. And you probably can't show those photos. They're pretty vulgar.
I probably can. I mean,
Like
but they,
hello? I'm having bad reception. I'm so sorry.
yeah, I said that if you send them to me, I probably can post them.
Well, like one's me with semen, one's me getting raped, one's me with the KKK, one's me with the special helmet with the rainbow flag. The funniest part is this guy's married and he's 64 years old, so I just imagine him with like 80s music in the background, like sipping Mountain Dew, getting like a picture of a naked guy and then putting my face on it.
And what do they talk about? Like, what is the?
There's no substance to it. So what they talk about is they say I'm gay, I'm special needs, I'm a Democrat, and I don't even like. It's so yeah, like I have a small penis. That's one thing. I'm like, first of all, not true. It's like this wild, just like what? Yeah. So yeah, a Democrat, small penis, special needs, gay. But the reason why the insults are in that direction and not of the substance is because this entire instance just started from me accusing him of being a January 6th informant. That's really what this is about. But like they don't want to have that discussion, so it's much easier to have this discussion of you're gay, you're special needs, because that's a much easier debate. Because like what's the like if someone says you're gay, like what's the intelligence response to that? No, I'm not. I swear. Like that's just, and even if you are, that's your personal life. But they're going in that direction because it distracts from my main point. Is that I think a lot of Republicans are controlled oppositions and are paid or unpaid disruptors. And so a lot of the reasons why Democrats think that we're crazy and we're white nationalists and that we want to take people's rights away is because I think Democrats are not-for-profits pay people to act that way. It's like almost like the WWE, because Darren Bailey actually made a good point. Is people are tired of Pritzker. If you like the voter enthusiasm is going down in the amongst Democrats, Independents, and Republicans, and so you need a cartoon character villain for Democrats to win elections, and that's what we're seeing. We're seeing it with candidates, but I do think a lot of the activists talking smack about me who don't want to talk about substances, I do think are controlled opposition. And I can go into my evidence too, but it's a large phenomenon. Andrew Witz, I can't pronounce his name. He actually ran for governor in the Rauner primary. Adam, and I can send you the article. But he ended up writing. He passed away, but before he passed away, he wrote for Forbes, and he exposed all the ridiculous spending by Fauci. But he also wrote an article about how the FBI itself spends $500 million a year on confidential informants. And so a lot of people that are extremists, that you think are extremists, I think are honeypotting people or trying to start something to push an agenda, whatever that agenda may be. Because that 500 million figure is just the FBI. That doesn't include not-for-profits or people that do it for fun. Like I know a Jewish organization and a friend that it does take part in it, where he goes on the extremist chats and like rile stuff up and then take screenshots, and then they make books and give it to the FBI. So I think a lot of the hate towards me is actually that, and so that's why I don't. I'm focused.
I'm starting to see like that. It's like we in the real world. Like we in a reality show or something. Like it's the weirdest thing.
That's what in politics, especially in politics, it's a mirage. Is people need to realize that like 5 to 9 out of 10, every 10 conversations you have politically, there'll be some sort of agenda and it'll be a fake conversation. Where that person that's reaching out to you, Zoe, that's like saying like to support a candidate, like really is getting paid by that candidate. Or they're telling you, you really shouldn't go after Ryan. I don't want to pick on Ryan Fest, but you shouldn't go after Ryan Fest, or you shouldn't go after Alexi. like that person might be getting paid by that person. And so that's very common in politics. And also the riling it up. There's a great movie with William Shatner, directed by Roger Corman, called The Intruder, about in the 1960s. Groups from DC were sending people into the South to start race riots, to rile up white people, to start conflict. And so I do think a lot of that's happening. And a lot of the people, like a good like kind of red flag in my opinion, is like people that pick issues that the FBI and DOJ like warn about extremism. So like during the Biden years, Biden said that if you question elections, you could be on a terrorist watch list. If you question school curriculum, you could be on a terrorist watch list. If you're part of J6, you could be a part of a terrorist watch list. And all these fools that keep making pictures about me, they great movie. They usually pick these topics and they switch from topic to topic. They don't have a consistent thing. They go from voting to school to Islam, and it's usually associated to what the FBI cares about or not-for-profits. Like, Zoe, did you know that he's 64 years old. His first incidence of political activism ever was January 6th, ever. And he was a Democrat before that. His first political event was he drove in a car with a Cook County former Cook County sheriff to DC to January 6th with a bulletproof vest and with Bufang radios. So with his words, not my words, so he can communicate with the 3%ers and Proud Boys. And I was ready to fight. I couldn't wait we were there to fight Antifa. And he was wearing his bulletproof vest, and he's there at the gates while people are breaking in, filming people. Estimated he filmed over 70 people cross the gates. He filmed people also having altercations with police, but magically he got in zero trouble whatsoever. And the only trouble that guy says he got into is he goes, they took me off TSA pre-check. They took me off TSA pre-check. First of all, that's some pretty privileged thing to be on in the first place. Second of all, you have a record of selling cocaine and grenades. You might have gotten taken off for that reason. They don't tell you why they took you off. And third of all, you were able to get back on TSA pre-check and fly to your destination. That's some confidential informant privilege right there. Yeah?
Some guy named Jim Lanham. You know who he is?
Yeah, Jim Lanham. Yeah, he's his he's his lieutenant. He's like five. I met him in person, and so it was a great experience. So he's someone that likes to put out pictures about me every single day. I got to meet him in person. I sit right next to him, and he tries to stand me up. And the craziest part is when he's standing up, we're at the same eye level. So he's got to be like 5'1", and he's like a Paul Bart Mall security cop at a bank, and there's a lot of controversies there. They like to read the riot act because there was an incident where he was the last person to see someone, or one of the last people to see someone who fell into a river. I've never accused him of murder, but like he's just he really likes to dip his nose in a lot of political and criminal cases where it's kind of weird, where I suspect he might be a criminal informant of some sorts too. And I always ask him, like, why aren't you law enforcement? Like you love politics, you love the law so much, like why aren't you law enforcement? And it could be because of a mental health check. I don't know. But he's very loud online. He runs for office a lot. And Zoe, has he reached out to you? Because like anytime I go on any sort of show, like they get 100 messages from him.
No, he just was in the comments saying that you're a fucking bitch. And that's why no one likes you, you little penny waistline bitch.
Yeah, why don't you have substance?
Dropping you after 12 hours.
Yeah, so I saw him in person. I was talking about his deformed hands to you in person, Jim. And I was everything I'm saying on this podcast, I said it on the face, but you're in the comments being like, "You're a bitch, you're stupid, you're this." So we're different. That's for sure. But it seems artificial why he cares so much.
So Terry started his career June 6th.
January 6th, January 6th, 2021. Never was involved in politics at all.
What was he? Like, he was.
Hey, Zoe, we're breaking up. So before that, he was an actual criminal informant against the Cali cartel and the Vice Lords. And then after he was a criminal informant, he worked for like tech. He was in like tech sales, which to me is something where they would place a DOJ type person. And here, the funniest thing about this is the most recent job that I'm aware of that he does is his big identity is that he wants to fight immigration, and he's on the streets exposing why 100% Terry. Do you not?
I was making so much money with DoorDash. I wanted to earn money in my free time, but I didn't want to go out and get a boring 9 to 5.
Workers in Monterrey, Mexico, and then also people that work remote in India. His company, For a Living, works with major corporations and the government. Your CEO has top clearance with DOD, to replace jobs, to replace high-paying tech jobs. My generation was decimated because my generation was the one that got rich off of software and coding, where you didn't have to go to college and you can get $100 an hour to code. But Terry, For a Living, takes American workers and replaces them with Indians that you can pay for literally 10 cents on the dollar, are also the H-1B, where they have a facility from Monterrey, Mexico, and then they bring them in. They help them with the paperwork and everything. And his company, we don't even have to dox the name because he likes to complain about it, but it's just a fact that his company has a DEI policy and brags about being 90% non-white. So he's the DEI hire of his company, but his whole persona is I'm anti-DEI, I'm anti-critical race theory, we're anti-porn in schools. But he's also a card-carrying member of SAG. So he's a card-carrying member of SAG. Immigration is how he puts food on the table, but his like fake online persona is that he's an activist that's like fighting immigration and trying to save elections and stop porn in schools and now Islam's his big thing. He really jumps from topic to topic of whatever the Department of Defense says is something to be on the watch list.
Well, okay.
Yeah, that was. But yeah, so he basically, so the crazy thing is, he definitely was away from politics. It was criminal informant, corporate sales, and then just out of nowhere, right when Chris Wray FBI is like, hey, if you question the election, you might be a terrorist. He suits up with a former Cook County sheriff, and they drive to DC.
Why is Joe Savino suing all these people? Terry Newsom, Jim, Aaron, Jim, Mendrix, Tom DeVore.
Oh, because they falsified information, which is a fair thing to sue, like Noah. And we've both met Noah before. He's an out there individual. But I think it's now settled that Noah and Terry have like falsified information. And you can't do that. And so I believe Joe's suing him for slander. I'm not like too particular with the case, but like good for him. Good for him. Like I would sue them for slander. It's hard to prove damages when you're calling someone like a bitch.
Oh man, I thought Terry was cool, but Terry,
he is cool. He's still is cool.
To me, Terry took it too far. I was cool with Terry, but Terry said you were a problem, and then you told me he was a problem, and I both told you at the end of the day I could separate it. I don't care about that, but he was so busy worried I was going to talk about you. I mean, that I was going to believe what you were saying when it came to him. But at the end of the day, every time, Terry has never came through the way that I feel like Chicago Fist Red has came through for him. When he did the podcast, Danielle and us, we went all the way out to Never Never Land. We did the podcast with him. Then, we tried to do the Tom Holman thing, but he didn't want to take my suggestion because I think a lot of people think that people use us as these black women pawns, like we're like a minstrel show or something like that, instead of like, I gave him a suggestion with bringing Tom Holman to Chicago theater and doing an evening with Tom Holman. And then basically people think that he's this white nationalist and this racist. So I'm explaining to him, if you guys do an event at the Chicago theater and you guys talk about, what's going on at stake with the illegal immigrants coming over here and all this, but he wanted to do a whole rally. He just wanted to get as childish as DSA instead of let's bring this into a theater and let's talk about what's at stake, with our country, and people show that we are civilized. And he didn't
Yeah,
want
so
to do
that'd be
that.
bad for his career.
Yeah. So that
That'd
was
be bad for his career. That would hurt his main job is relies on H-1B visas. And so if you're saying like, hey, Tom, crack down on because that's the main time of a legal immigrant are people that are overstaying H-1B or overstay visas. And so if you have an event that unites Chicago at Chicago Theater, which would have been awesome, and like does really well and paints Tom Holman in a different light, that'd be terrible for Terry's main career. And his show's called Behind Enemy Lines, which I think is like almost a big FU to all of us. That's because who's the enemy? I think it's us.
Oh no! See, and Terry Newsom said, "No, you never did anything for me. Nothing. You asked Danielle to be on your panel all the way out of Never Never Land. Then you asked us to be on your podcast, what we did, and then you came to us about Tom Holman. And I gave you the suggestion of bringing it to Chicago Theater. I told Miss Susan Sweeney. I told a couple of other people as well, because I was trying to get you guys to understand that people think that we're antagonists. At this time, we were on a bingo card. Like we were these people that were out here, whatever. That's not me. And I was trying to explain that to him, but he didn't care. During that time, we were at the Black Caucus. I got all these as text messages. I really don't want to do this to you, my boy, but I can. And we were in D.C. for the Black Caucus. He wanted Danielle to fly back. He wanted to do this big thing in front of the federal building because they wouldn't bother us or anything. But nobody didn't want to spend that money. Nobody didn't want to spend the money to go to do Chicago Theater. That's just basically what it was. Then we had a press conference. The press conference came the day after, unfortunately, Charlie Kirk got killed. Everybody decided to back away from the press conference, but they basically wanted us to not do the press conference and pay homage to Charlie Kirk. But everybody went out and did their own thing that day. He didn't do our press conference, but he went out to the south suburbs to go bully them liberals. Into the video, other people didn't come to the press conference, but that evening they were at Concerned Parents event that she had out in DuPage. But we were disrespectful for doing our press conference that we were putting together because we have an active genocide going on in our community. So once I started seeing that they were full of shit, then I started moving around and doing my own thing. So I don't respect Terry Newsom off of that. And plus, Terry Newsom talks a lot of stuff about us on social media and doesn't think somebody's going to talk back. And I'm the wrong person.
And Terry, that's my problem with you, is just be consistent. Stop with this split personality nonsense.
Because we didn't need you. You asked for us to be there. Now I got to block you because you're a liar.
And he was my source, Zoe. How about that? Up until I was writing articles about James Mendrix. He was my source. He was the one that gave me James Mendrix Xbox Halo handle, which is pretty funny. Yeah, the sheriff of Davis County has a really impressive Halo score. But so Terry is like private, and he posted about it. I have this screenshot where he's talking about how great the Illinois record is, and he's giving me information. But then now publicly, I'm a Democrat shill, and what does he say about you, Zoe? Because I think a lot of it's derogatory, like. Yeah.
I got no respect for him.
He's like a 2-year-old.
Yeah,
I have to go to a schoolyard to get the insult.
It makes sense, though. It makes sense. Like.
Yeah, it's the prison yard mentality. Oh, you know what's something interesting that he said, Zoe, and I have the screenshot, is he said in prison that he was a Latin king, and that he used to sell guys like me, or that he would sell a guy like me, which he thought was like, which a prison mentality is like, what a great insult. But my mentality is like, you're in the Latin Kings and used to sell guys, and you were like Italian, Polish. He was with what's it called, like a cocaine, like the chop shops. They would sell cocaine out of a car dealership, and he didn't even have the courage to be a cocaine dealer. And I'm not that's terrible to be a cocaine dealer. He was a cocaine dealer recruiter. He was like the MLM for a cocaine dealership. And then he claims he didn't rat on his friends, but I think it's pretty remarkable that he only served 2 years at the height of the
definitely a snitch.
High of the 80s. Yeah, he confirmed snitched, but it's just a question of how much he snitched. Because it is a confirmed that he snitched on the Cali cartel and the Vice Lords
Yeah,
and was
that's all
selling grenades.
criminal employment. He's probably getting CVI money too, DEI.
Yeah, he is DEI. He's a DEI of his company. Like it says, 90% diverse. So that means he's a DEI hire at his company. And that's the irony.
They really can't stand you. They make all these pages of you.
It's because of what I'm saying. Because the last time I saw him was at the Joseph Severino case, and because I had to, I was a witness, and in which Jenny was a witness. Jenny McGuire, the former radio host, was a witness for Joe Severino. So it's very interesting to see her kind of say 180-degree different things than she said only a month ago. But at the case, so here's to kind of show you the Terry Newsom playbook. It's pretty remarkable. Is I like to confront my accusers, and so I walk into the courthouse. I walk in. I sit next to Terry and Jim Lanham. Jim Lanham, all 5 foot of him, tries to trip me with his foot. Puts his foot out like this to try to trip me, which is just weird and petty. And then I sit down next to Terry. He puts his hand on me and just yells, "Gay, cunt, gay." 3 times in a Lake County courthouse, a court setting. And while this is happening, Jim Lanham runs to a security guard to try to get me arrested. And then not only 10 minutes later, Tom DeVore, who was the genius lawyer on the case, he lost the case. Terry Newsom argued he was an ineffective counsel. I agree. But I went outside and I pulled out my phone pretending like I was going to take a picture, just kind of trolling a little bit. And within 5 seconds, Tom DeVore goes to a security guard, try to get me arrested. Because I think one thing that we share, Zoe, is I know, like you for politics, you are young. Anyone under 65 is young in politics. So I think part of the universal dilemma too is that like you get picked on because they don't want younger people to succeed, and they don't want anyone to succeed. Period, because it ruins the grift.
Right. Because that's what it is. They have turned it into a political grift on both sides.
Absolutely, and they work together. And they're friends.
Is a prime example. They weird.
And they are friends. They definitely are friends. Don't forget that. There's a lot of people think that they're fighting, but behind closed doors, they're yucking it up, and they need each other. Because Democrats, the only reason why they're able to, they can't be so inactive unless they have these villains, which are Republicans. We are so lucky that the Democrats are fighting right now. This could be an opportunity for Republicans 2026, but I've never seen a worse group of candidates in Illinois Republican history. Like, this has to be the worst group of candidates. And the least amount of candidates. I'm in District 9. I think like 80% of my ballots could be blank from like state rep and all the judges.
So what do you think? Why do you think that's the problem?
So Illinois is the hardest place to run. We have the most amount of elected officials, over 40,000 elected officials, and it's also the hardest place to run for office. And so it's the evil, the corruption is hidden in plain sight. Hannah Arendt called it the banality of evil. Evil is boring. And so they're able to do so much oppression, able to mess with so many lives, redistribute wealth for them. It's crazy of all these enclaves of rich government people and government adjacent people that are using your and I money to have generational wealth while squashing yours and making it impossible for my generation, future generation houses. And it's able to happen because it's so boring. It's so there's so much paperwork, and it's like. But if the people woke up, it could be done. If people are watching right now and decide to, if just a mass amount of people decide to run for office, I think that would fix the problem. Easy.
So when you gonna run again?
Never. Are we breaking up? If anyone wants to run, please feel free to reach out to me, because I will help anyone get on the ballot or kind of help protect you from people like that, because it is inevitable. But the thing why you need to not be so scared about trolls like Terry Newsom is that no matter what you do, if you're successful in life, you're going to have people opposing you. If you're successful in business endeavors, your competitors are going to be against you. If you're successful in Hollywood, you'll have haters. And politics is really just Hollywood for ugly people. So
right. No, I'm not. I don't rock with him. He owes me an apology, and all his little minions that's around him that think that he's this big hero, and he's not. He's just I don't know what.
Well, if he dealt cocaine and grenades, what is that? Or if he, because that's why he got people to deal cocaine. So if he convinced people to throw their lives away and be cocaine dealers, and then also was considering selling grenades to people, like what does that say about his character? And I know that is the past. He's like, oh, I was 30 years ago. But what has he shown that he's changed? And his values, his behavior, and how he treats people.
Actually,
it's selfish. He's worse.
Getting worse. They all getting worse. But I see what their problem is. It's a new generation coming in, and instead of being teachers or advisors, they want to continue to do the same thing, and it's not going to work. People aren't going anymore. Your kids aren't going. Stop embarrassing your kids. That's the problem. Because I know, I know kids are watching us, and I know they see their parents.
I'm hopeful of that though. Because kids rebel, so they're going to rebel away from the nonsense that's going on. So that's the good news.
Right. So, what do you think about the election, the governor election coming up?
What a terrible time to be voting. What are we going to do? Because I can't vote for Colin Corbett. I cannot vote for J.B. Pritzker. That is not happening. That's never happening. And it's so hard. Bailey, I do think Bailey probably is the worst person in Illinois Republican politics because he claims to be religious.
Hold on.
So it's gonna be really, really hard to vote for Bailey. And he's been campaigning like a Democrat. And I'm not sure if it just came out today that one of his donors was a convicted sex offender. That came out today, Sun Times. You're gonna see a lot of stories like that, in my opinion, from now until election day.
Why not?
Corbett?
Why not him?
He's a goofy, as they say.
I
was with him at a private luncheon with a lot of Democrat and Republican elites, and he was there, and it was kind of an opportunity for him to showcase himself, and he was just silent. I really wonder why. There's a lot of conspiracies that he's a Pritzker plant himself, and like what's his purpose for running, and I think he just convinced some stupid rich person that he has a chance, because that's why I've always respected his consulting company Core a little. I don't respect the consulting company, but I've always respected it a little more than others because his game is convincing rich people to extract their money. He's a good money extractor from rich people. So I think he probably extracted money from 2 to 4 millionaires, and will funnel it to himself or to friends, whether through vendors or through mailing. Because he is a consultant that has 5 companies. And Zoe, hello?
Yeah.
One evidence for Colin Corbett one evidence that Colin Corbett is not running a serious campaign is he said that he was going to start a third party movement in Illinois, and I support that. That'd be amazing. Part of the problem with the lack of options is that it's so hard for the third parties to get on the ballot. They need 10 times the signature requirement. But one reason why I don't think Colin Corbett is serious is he decided to run as an independent, and he didn't create a third party. Because if you create a third party and if you get 5%, you would have white election. Colin Corbett did not do that. So he's just having a good time extracting money from who knows whoever, and he'll probably get like 2 to 5%. And politically, I align more with a Bailey. Like I endorsed Bailey. I did 5 events with Bailey when I ran for Congress in 2022. So I would say I helped Bailey. And but I just think he's just such a liar. Like what a fake human being. Across the board.
Yeah, I'll rock
it's like shamelessly fake. And then he's really getting exposed right now, the way he's campaigning as Democrat. Where he's striking with the unions. He's like, hey guys, the scabs are crossing the picket line. They're not paying the scab. They're paying the scabs $17.50 when it's absolutely ridiculous what's going on. Now apparently he's pro-abortion, I guess. Whatever. Wasn't he in Inglewood yesterday with his wife wearing Reeboks? They're at Harold's Chicken. We're on a listening tour. We're gonna meet the voters where they are. We're at Harold's Chicken. Can I get some more mild sauce? No, it's absolutely ridiculous to see the pandering and the the two-facedness. And then also, I've always when I was a little kid, I always measured campaigns not where they got the money from, but how they spend their money. Because if they're going to spend our tax money, I think how they spend their campaign money is a good indicator. So I've always been a huge campaign finance nerd. And I advise everyone here to go to IllinoisSunshine.com, go to the FEC.gov, go to the Illinois State Board of Election website, and nerd out on your favorite candidates. But the way that Darren Bailey has spent money last campaign and this money and this campaign are just such a grift, such a joke, offensive to everyone. Last campaign, so I live in Chicago. Darren Bailey, I think he stayed in like the Hancock or Center or the Trump Towers, like a very nice building in Chicago last election, but wasn't in Chicago. And I was like, huh? And then I realized that he has all these young staffers that are out partying. They're texting my volunteers. My volunteer got a text from a Bailey employee that was mentioned in one of the demand letter incidents, saying that he wanted to put his DNA in my volunteer, who was a single mother, and so his whole staff, and like apparently he wasn't a part of it, but his whole staff was just partying the entire time. And that is so counter to like, I'm just a small, humble farmer. I know how much the cost of gas is. His first event, they got bottle service at Esco. They took a party bus to the West Loop to get bottles, and he's lecturing. I know what the cost of gas is. Well, what's the cost of a champagne bottle at a club? I don't even know. Like, Zoe, you might know. But isn't that like $600?
Yeah. Depending on what it is, yeah.
Yeah, I heard they ordered 5 at his first event. And he ran against Gary Rabine, whose lieutenant governor was Aaron Del Mar. And so a lot of people criticize me for writing negative stories about Aaron Del Mar. I got the information from Darren Bailey. He published all the opposition research in 2022 and was talking about what a bad candidate Aaron Del Mar was up until a couple months ago. But and his chief complaint was that Aaron Del Mar would sell party girls, sell Vegas girls for his events, and would do blackjack. Because I'm a Christian, and I don't believe me. I don't want to disparage. I'm very pro-religious, but he's very I'm just a humble farmer, and we don't gamble, and that doesn't belong in the party and the dancing. And this first event, his speaker was John Sirasani. People that watch probably know John Sirasani, the blackjack influencer, who's just telling teenage kids to go gamble blackjack poorly. And then he's coming out to I got 40 pack of Strohs and a bunch of hoes. Introducing Darren Bailey. And then his running mate is the guy that he's literally on camera the couple weeks before saying, I like Aaron, but Aaron doesn't like me, because every time Aaron runs, I say don't vote for him. You can trust Aaron as far as you could throw him. And he picks him as his running mate. What does that say about that person's discernment? And then the campaign event. So the craziest thing about campaign finance too, after it's a huge asterisk, is campaign finance is an honor system, and politics is one of the most dishonorable fields. And so a lot of what's reported, you don't 100% believe on face value. So Darren Bailey's first event for this campaign season was paid for by a PAC called Save Illinois PAC. The person that runs that PAC was someone who I met at 16, 17 years old, was Darren Bailey's former body man driver that hit him with a $700,000 demand letter and the potential lawsuit that was settled. So they settled that lawsuit, and then that kid under 20, he was even under 21 at the time of the event. He was 20 years old. Donated $40,000, $50,000, $70,000 out of the goodness of his heart back to the person he was going to sue for sexual harassment, child labor abuse, that kind of thing. I don't buy it. But that was part of it too. And at that event, a lot of people concentrate on, there was an incident on the party bus and the clubs where a woman was taken to the hospital, and a lot of people like to go in the weeds of that. But one thing that just isn't talked about is that Aaron Bailey had an event where minors were drinking. The person in question was 20 years old, and he's on police body cams being yeah, it's a political event, we were drinking. And I mentioned it earlier in the podcast. This is just something that I've just seen a lot of events of older guys and younger teens, usually of age, but under drinking age, in adult situations.
Politics.
Yeah, it feels like the Boy Scouts of America are more of that nature. Or to catch a predator home is probably more realistic. Because the boys are usually 18, 19, 20. And I was told that at a young age, I was told to stay away from Mark Kirk. because he would get a little handsy with people. but the Illinois, the most powerful Illinois Republican member for over a decade was Dennis Hastert, who admitted in court he was a child molester. So there is still that stain in the Illinois Republican Party, but I really think it's a free-for-all because there's such a lack of power. It's just a power vacuum.
Okay, Dennis Hastert,
Speaker of the House. He was the most powerful. He was the most senior Illinois political person, and a lot of the people that were around him are still here to this day. Like if you think in football terms, like Bill Belichick or Bill Parcells' coaching tree, or Bill Walsh's.
Is this Dennis?
He was just 2000. Wasn't he George W. Bush's Speaker of the House? Yeah, he was a wrestling coach. And Mark Vargas, good old Mark Vargas, that's where he got his start from. He was an intern for Dennis Hastert, and then an advisor. And then Mark Vargas of the Illinois Review was supposed to run for Congress, but dropped out to help his son. And so one of my proudest moments, funniest moments, is I was at CPAC, and I was optimistic. I was introducing myself to every media person, and one media group goes, I'm like, hey, I'm Max, I'm with the Illinois Record. Nice to meet you. He was like, wait, Illinois Record? And I'm like, yeah. It's like, wait, did you write an article about Mark Vargas in the Illinois Review? And I'm like, yeah. It's like, dude, you got to apologize. Man, you got to apologize. He lost a position in Trump's cabinet because of your article. Because apparently when they look up, when you're interviewing people for jobs in the government, they look at everything that's been written about him. And my article on the Illinois Review goes into his history with Dennis Hastert, with the Department of Homeland Security under Bush. So that's another interesting reinvention, how that person is now another face of the grassroots. The Dennis Hastert W. Bush. It's now Mr. MAGA, Mark Vargas, yeah.
This guy.
And this guy, he's dancing with his shirt out yesterday. But yeah, so every article on his, I actually technically wrote for that website, Illinois Review, before he owned it. Fran Eaton was just like an old lady that had a blog. It was more of a boutique blog, but it got big. And people like Charlie Kirk would write on it, and people that were on 560 AM, and state senators, and Aaron Del Mar, and it'd be pretty cool because it was more like a blog that anyone can submit to, and you'd have like arguments where I would post and then Terry would post, and that was really cool, very healthy. Him and Scott Casper somehow convinced Fran Eaton to take over the website, and now it's just like a bunch of AI slop garbage that supports whatever candidate they're into at the moment. And the guy and once just lack of standards. Like my whole article was about how they criticize me because I criticize Republicans, but I'm like, your owner, not him, Scott Casper, is the one that wrote the 40-page demand letter to Darren Bailey the month before the election in October, and it became a huge Chicago Tribune story. So I'm like, I can't attack Republicans, but you can threaten them for $700,000 the month before an election. And their last tweet was attacking a Republican.
Did Darren pay the $700,000?
You have to think he played something because the Brett Corrigan, the man in question, has been balling out immediately after. I kept in touch with him, and especially after the campaign incident, did a bunch of interviewing. Is a lot of trips overseas, a lot of Bulls games, and so you have to think there was some sort of settlement, and that now they're on good terms. And by the way, Zoe, Brett, and I can say this, Brett's quote to me was, he said some of the words in the demand letter were true, some were exaggerated, and that Scott Casper didn't have the authority to even write it because he was a minor at the time, and his guardian would have to sign off on it, and that wasn't possible. I think Darren was technically his guardian. So there's that. And so that's why anyone reading the demand letter, and it does exist, and I should probably publish it, but it exists online, is read it with a grain of salt. Yet at the same time, someone that ran in 2022 who did 5 events with Bailey where he was my speaker. Bailey was my opener at the Red Room Comedy Club in Chicago, and that was pretty funny. But some of it is just undeniably true. I was a witness to that. Brett was put in adult situations. There's a story in there about how one of Bailey's workers drove him while he was going to have sex with another volunteer or worker. And like, true or not true, he said that to my volunteer while I was on speakerphone.
Wow.
Yeah.
So we got Dan. Well, Pritzker got to go. Pritzker has to go.
So do we have to impeach him? Do we have to remove him? Like, I
think
agree
we
with
gotta
you.
get the feds here. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know if these two are gonna win.
Well, I think Soros had the right idea. He's just like demonic. Is I think we have to figure out a way to infiltrate these like local, like these 2027 elections. Like that might be the way. And why, so you notice this? Like, why don't Republicans ever run for judge? There was 0 for 30 when I last voted.
Yeah, I saw that too.
And so I think that's the way in. And because if you had, and also if Bob Fioretti wasn't a freaking like zombified Barry Manilow, if you had a good attorney general, that could be a check against a governor. But he's another joke. Founder of the Aldermanic Progressive Caucus. What? That's, I don't even know what that is. But anyways, I think they're
called him.
I think petrified Barry Manilow. They just like wheel him out like Wickham and Bernie style every election. He's run 8 times, and he just must be a money pit for someone. And he's following the Tony Perico playbook, and Tony Perico is an ally of him, and he's someone that was an elected Democrat, and then is like, as I said, you fail as a Democrat, let me run as a Republican, they'll take me in. Convince a few millionaires, the party goes on. Like Fioretti, I just got a text or an email. He's doing an ad on the Score, like he's doing ads. He's doing radio ads. And but what people need to realize is that might not win him an election. But if any candidate does an ad, you can take 15 to 50% commission for just the purchase of the ad. So you need Barry Manilow. That's why Barry Manilow, he'll still perform in Branson, Missouri, or like Ravinia. Or like, they're still home for Barry Manilow. They're even wheeling out Frankie Valli. Like with a backup track. I'm too good feeling true. Like, and so, but the reason why he's valuable, he's a known commodity, and so they wheel him out. And I haven't even looked into how much money he has, but I'm sure they could suck a few $100,000, extract a couple $100K.
So you don't think he's gonna beat Kwame, because Kwame gotta go too.
Kwame's worse. Kwame is arguably worse than Pritzker, because he's Pritzker's, because he basically just exercised. The attorney general is supposed to be independent of governor, and Kwame Rurl could have, in theory, been a hero and been a check during COVID. He's been the exact opposite, and he's also just been like chasing all these nonsense national issues so he can get like a little headline on CNN instead of protecting and helping us, serving us. Yeah, Kwame's trash. So, but Zoe, do you have any plans for 2027 outside of Danielle? Because I think it's gonna be bottom up. I really think that's the future. Is like library boards, water reclamation districts, Alderman's pretty high, but still.
I should have done it, but I'm really interested in the school board. I want to like.
Oh, that's hysterical. I've been talking to everyone on the school board races. That is what a dumpster fire, the school board races. And they don't realize, like, you like that's. I'm glad you did it because it's a hot potato. And the school board people don't realize this is whoever wins loses because they're broke.
Right.
Imagine if I had a house that was like $20 million in debt, like a 2,000 couple bedroom, but it's $20 million in debt. Hot potato. And so that's what's going on with the school board. So that's very interesting. But it's cool because CTU is extremely disorganized, but the urban center people are the same kind of they're dinos, basically, Democrats in name only, but they're the same kind of behavior as these Terry Newsom Republicans. They're just as big grifters. They've just extracted money from Michael Sachs. What's his name? Juan Rangel. And their candidates are like some of the goofiest candidates I've ever seen, where they're not even. It's the point, Zoe. Sometimes there's a point where someone's so not competent where you're like, maybe we should just have the Democrat. This guy can't even tie his shoes. Like my candidate, the Republican candidate, says this is his number one issue. He goes, I'm a weird guy. We gotta bring electric dance music to CPS. That's his top issue. And a lot of them say they're Democrats, and they're like, I'm a Democrat. I'm just not a puppet of the CTU. I'm a puppet of Michael Sachs and Paul Fallis, who's like ruined 5 to 10 different school systems. That's what gets me too, is that we need to also do a better job of having a clearer alternative, because all alternative is just a lesser version.
They say Paul Fallis.
I meant. Yeah, he failed Chicago. He failed Chicago State. He failed New Orleans. He failed Connecticut. Didn't he fail Haiti? I'm pretty sure he failed a country. Like everywhere he goes, that school just either like disappears or goes to absolute garbage. Yeah, he's absolute trash. And the funniest thing ever is when he ran for mayor, I was a deputy committeeman for the Chicago Republican Party. Google me. I'm just kidding. But then the Northwest Side GOP and the Chicago GOP basically said, we're not going to run a candidate. We're supporting Vallis. And I think they endorsed Vallis. And then Vallis said he rebuked the endorsement. So the Chicago Republican Party basically told everyone, get in line. Don't run a Republican. We don't want someone like Danielle who actually is going to stand up for our values. Because even if Danielle loses, she's going to have that platform to talk about things that we care for and move the ball forward. And whether she wins or loses is in God's hands. So people need to stop just getting hung up on these stupid polling and winning and loses and think about actually changing the culture. But so they said, like, forget changing the culture.
Chime fee free banking.
Chicago like had kids in the 90s or grew up in the 90s and they remembered him. So he was just a terrible candidate. He couldn't even beat Brandon Johnson. But we fell in line. Oh, no, Zoe, you know why we fell in line? We fell in line because Paul Vallis gave $600,000 to M3 Strategies, Matt Pajorski, who was the head of Northwest Side GOP. So as you were talking about earlier, a lot of conversations are fake and mirages. And so he's telling people, like, Paul Vallis has the best chance. I think we got to get behind him. This is the best strategy. When in reality, $600,000 check. That's not being discussed.
This is the guy.
And then I don't want to pick on him. It's just that's just the way it works.
No, yeah, there's another guy, I think. He's head of North. Let me see if this is the guy. So I met with a guy for a minute.
Chuck Hernandez.
Oh, no.
There's a new guy now. There's a new guy. Half of us left. Like, so basically half Northwest Side GOP left after they endorsed Richard Irvin at like midnight. It was really fun. It was like literally they like imagine you get a text at 11 p.m. being like, we're having an endorsement session. If you miss it, too bad. And it was a way for them to sneak in Richard Irvin, who also probably was another client, but was unpopular with the base, who was more on the Bailey or Jesse Sullivan or Gary Rabine. And so after that, like half of them left. And I got in trouble, and this is just me, we're just talking. This is just my experiences. As I always used to criticize them, as I felt like the entire club was just a big excuse for Matt Pajorski to hook up with Amy Kessam, who was like a candidate at the time, eventual committee person, 41st Ward committee person. And then they ended up dating, or like I think they still are. They might be engaged right now.
Okay.
But almost every election was like him supporting her or her supporting him. So much of the resources and money and time went to their elections. And yeah, she's a part of Trump's Department of Labor now. But the question is whether it's hand or head. But I didn't say anything. But what was I gonna say? Yeah, that was a bad Trump pick. Because it's very hard for Trump to truly vet every single person. Because I believe she was a DeSantis supporter. All like urban supporter.
She was gonna anybody to get in that commissioner seat because the commissioners is no Republicans.
No, she's not running for commissioner. She's not running for commissioner.
Not no more.
No, and Sean Morrison's not running either. It's Gorman, right?
Yeah, Gorman. But she said she had that seat before.
She did.
Taking it back, yeah.
Her and Sean Morrison were like, I think they were both under Verdoliak, and they were both Democrat buddies. And then they've just been feuding for 20 years. And Morrison he's the godfather to Aaron Del Mar's kids, and is Aaron Del Mar's like into Cook County politics. So all the criticism on Aaron Del Mar like really should be more directed to Sean Morrison. He's the Bill Parcells to Mars. I shouldn't call him Belichick. That's such an insult to Bill Belichick. But
So,
yeah,
the governor race is it's a wrap.
it's a no. Here's what's going to happen. I'll give the audience a playbook of what's going to happen. Is the governor's race is a wrap, but they care about some state senate races. They care about some state rep races, and the Democrats have a big ego problems. They don't want to just win. They want to win big. And so what they're going to do is they're basically going to dog walk, chicken walk Aaron Del Mar and Darren Bailey for the next couple months with scandal after scandal after scandal. And Republicans are going to look really strange because most of the scandals are probably going to be real. And you're going to look like a big doofus, like defending all sorts of claims. Like there's going to be a rape allegation coming up against Aaron. They'll probably be that was made in a court setting. Yeah, exactly. And he knows this. And in my opinion, it's the reason why Aaron's not running for governor. And I'm not saying he raped anyone. I'm just saying that there was an allegation that was made in a court setting. So there's documents with the allegation. And terrible, not just like rape, but like rape that produced a kid, allegations of potential like selling women, should we just get into that maybe?
Don Juan?
Yeah. No, he wasn't Don. He still is. Like, he kind of is a jack of all trades entertainer. Like, he does blackjack games and bachelor parties, that sort of thing. But part of his early history that no one talks about is he likes to pretend like he was going to be the next judo Olympian he's going to be the next warrior champion athlete at best ever. But then he had a kid and he had to go home and man up and be a father. But the truth is he wasn't necessarily the best at judo. He goes to the Judo Olympic Training Center in Colorado Springs, and lazy or bad or for whatever reason, just has a falling out and just leaves the team naturally. But kind of you know how kind of if you're on Saturday Night Live, you can kind of use that status to say I'm a Saturday Night Live writer, or if I was on the special teams of the Cowboys, I can say I'm a Dallas Cowboy. And so Aaron kind of got to still enjoy that pedigree of being an Olympic at the Olympic Training Center, while at the same time being kind of he did a lot of mud wrestling events, wet t-shirty, that kind of directions. And in particular, and they wrote an article on it, so a lot of this is all online, at Kicker's nightclub, which was an all-age nightclub, which is very sketchy, different, not just of drinking age, all ages. But in the allegations, which I probably should publish before Pritzker and the Democrats publish, they accused Ritzer of not just having mud wrestling shows, but Aaron would kind of allegedly would lift the tops and the bikinis of the girls that were mud wrestling, and then say that they're for sale. If you like what you see, come see me after the show.
At the all ages event.
At the all ages event, and then he would have a gang, and then he'd have a gang of followers of younger men that would follow him around, and they would be passing drugs around. There's an allegation of an unregistered firearm. He was either a real gangster or a wannabe gangster is the allegations. And so Democrats are really just gonna just throw, because remember how they made a huge mistake. Remember when Darren and Aaron said that Chris Welch needs to resign because what did he know? Is Democrats are gonna start asking Bailey what did you know about Aaron? Because Darren did all the opposition research. Darren is publicly saying I can't trust this guy. Aaron obviously knows that this happened because I talked to people that were involved in the court documents. So I didn't just read the documents. I talked to a witness who said they don't take back a single word. And so Bailey's going to basically be asked to distance himself from Aaron, but he really can't. He either can't, or maybe Aaron's blackmailing or pressuring Bailey. There's that allegation around because their pairing is so uncomfortable. And then at the same time, there's going to be so much coming out about Bailey. No one talks about his schools, his own church, his association with Kyle Shipman, a child predator, a teacher. It's still on his Facebook page where he's with kids with a guy he basically was convicted of he was charged with 3 different child sex crimes, child porn, and molesting kids, that sort of thing, as a teacher. But it got brought down to 1, so he's no longer a sex offender. And then this pastor made a really great speech about how their town, there is the town of the albino squirrel, and how the albino squirrel, every year they literally have a list of all the albino squirrels, and then they have a committee of people that have another list of all the feral cats and all the potential predator cats, And he goes like, how is it that our town protects your protects the albino squirrel and your cat more than your children? And that was a very deep, powerful point. But they're really gonna attack Bailey on that, because what's Bailey gonna say? He was a really nice guy. He just was. They was misunderstood. Those kids were lying. The video on his phone was just a funny video. And then his church is kind of creepy. I'm not gonna lie. I respect God, big time religious. But like I do think there are certain things that kind of veer, and like I don't respect paganism. I'll be honest, and I don't respect idol worship. And sounds like his church is one of those. It sounds like they do tongues, and no one talks about that.
Mm.
And also how he's talking about how they're he's like him and Aaron are like, we want to pass a law where all non-for-profits need to like be subject to open records laws. Is Democrats gonna on this same subject gonna talk about Darren Bailey's non-for-profit in his 2 schools, where there was there was at least one complaint of a potential incident in the same subject they were talking about. But beyond that, the schools are just creepy. Like look them up yourself. Look up his church and look up his schools. They're all just, it looks like a Fuddruckers mixed with a gun range. And so like Bailey is talking about all these how Pritzker and Van Johnson are offending their kids, which is true. But I think Democrats are gonna start digging up on what's going on at his schools, because his schools just seem so creepy. And when there's a lack of transparency, I don't think it could be good. And his non-for-profit, I think, has an F or a D rating because it's just his family.
Damn.
So for 1 month, they're just Kyle Shipman. You're looking up. And oh, by the way, so Kyle Shipman was a big true crime situation for Southern Illinois, Missouri area, and a lot of the true crime heads were making the connection to Bailey back then. There's even accusations that like Cindy might have even attended the trial, or they might have even funded some of it. That's an unproven accusation. But if you look up on Bailey's Facebook, I think even right now, he's like, this is my friend Kyle Shipman at his tennis facility, and he's got like kids on his laps.
Oh man.
Like it's just gonna be tough to vote for Bailey.
Yeah, it sounds.
that might be something I just might not tell anyone about, but I just can't vote for Pritzker. And Colin is just I don't want to sanction his buffoonery by voting for him.
I don't appreciate how he disrespects.
This is a different one.
Trump is not a problem.
Oh yeah, no. Well, all the know-it-alls disrespect Trump because there's a jealousy factor. He's doing exactly what Trump did, but failing Colin Corbett.
Okay.
This is a fresh one. This is a fresh one. And now they're like, oh my goodness, this is a fresh one. This isn't Kyle Shipman. I'm saying that they're gonna talk about new ones, I think, in the future.
Now this just came out.
This was this morning, yeah. It's gonna be a barrage of this and Aaron's history. And the Brett Corrigan situation.
But Pritzker is terrible. Like he's a sex offender too now.
Yeah, I mean, like think about what they do they're giving condoms to kindergartners, right?
Right.
Like, so like I guess like that's a sex offense of over 1 million kids. So it's a very hard dilemma. Like sometimes the moral thing to do is not to vote, but like as I gotten older, I sometimes feel like you sometimes have to man up and choose someone. And so it's just a morality play. And I guess to Bailey's credit, he hasn't been governor yet. But I'll be honest, Zoe, is my worry is like I honestly worry Bailey wins, and then and then Terry Newsom is the head of the highways, and Brett Corrigan is like going over the books of the entire state. Like I have some serious questions on like can Bailey actually manage a state, but he hasn't been governor yet.
Tom DeVore is like gonna be a lawyer for something, and I can't.
He's running the Tom DeVore is gonna run the lottery. It's gonna be such a joke if Bailey wins, and there'll be no budget. And like every liberal, just like Rauner, every liberal social issue will be passed because they'll do it as a way to bargain. Yeah, Rauner got through what's it called? You got FIJA, like basically Green New Deal. Like the abortion on demand law.
This man should have won.
Yeah.
Dabrowski.
Well, sort of. He's like, I still think he's boring, but that's better than like being a piece of shit.
Yeah, we would have helped him get the little. His lieutenant governor would have helped him spice it up, but he had the data, and he was.
We need no data. We need Firebrand. Like, he needs some more training, and maybe this was a good experience for him, Ted. Because he, to his credit, he never sold out. Like he did have a bunch of bad people around him, like some grifters around him, but he definitely kind of I'd never kind of seen him change who he was or on positions during the race. So hats off to that.
Yeah, so I think that that the feds need to come and count them ballots, because I promise you they stopped counting ballots downstate at 4% and just gave it to Bailey.
Yeah, that's oh no, Zoe, that's part of the problem too. Is I'm just not excited about voting in general because it's just too easy to cheat in elections, and also no one cares about a Republican primary. And so that's part of the problem, is that when there is cheating, is no one's going to look back at the Republican primary.